Hey, I'm Ton Ben, and this is SeattleEats, a food podcast from the Seattle Times and KUOW. A few weeks ago, I got a text from a friend, Adam Weintraub. He read a story I wrote about restaurant openings, and he thought, man, there's a lot of mortadella sandwiches out there. Adam is right. Mortadella is having a moment in Seattle. This deli meat hails from Bologna, Italy. It's a huge pork sausage, studded with cubes of fat and seasoned with fall spices. It has a delicate, buttery flavor. You can eat mortadella lots of ways, but the one making a splash in Seattle is a simple sandwich, thin deli slices, ruffled on a hearty bread, with some cheeses and other toppings. My buddy Adam used to live in Bologna, and he's something of a mortadella enthusiast. So I invited him to the studio to talk about this sandwich and why it's so popular in Seattle right now. Plus, I'll share my list of the 3 best mortadella sandwiches in the city. Ready? Andiamo! Let's go! Hey, Seattle Eaters! We have a new guest in the house. You can say he's fresh meat. Haha. I'll be here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Adam Weintraub, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ton. Good to be here.
Adam, we've known each other for 10 years now.
Long years.
And I feel like I know you so well. And then you throw me this curve. Like you had this secret love affair with mortadella. When does this love affair begin?
I didn't know I was an expert on mortadella, honestly. This is something that's new for me as well. I actually have a group chat with some friends about mortadella in Seattle right now. I lived in Italy for 2.5 years, including the city of Bologna. It's the birthplace. And we would go to this amazing delicatessen and bake shop called Atti, A-T-T-I, and it still exists. In fact, I went to visit it again about 3 or 4 years ago. And they give you this extraordinary mortadella that they source locally, and then you get some cheese to accompany it and focaccia, and that's kind of the way it went. Or you'd bring mortadella home to your friends and during college, and you'd open up the bottle of Chianti and just start digging in.
Yeah, well, in a rare sign of being humbled, you actually know a lot more about mortadella than you let on. So describe for me the flavor of mortadella to someone who has never eaten it before, Adam.
I think the redeeming quality, I think I've never even put these words together, the redeeming quality of mortadella is it's silky. You get these chunks of boiled fat baked into these delicious sausage, and it's got a little bit of spice, a little bit of pepper. Sometimes they'll make it with pistachio, but it's, for the most part, just a good quality pork meat.
It's not as foreign as you might think it is, because pretty much everyone who grew up in the United States have had or have heard of bologna sandwich. Oscar Mayer bologna sandwich is pretty much the equivalent of mortadella. It's like the same meat. It's made the same way.
I would disagree.
How so?
Well, I think the bologna, like many things in the United States, it's become a little bit bastardized over the course of time. And the bologna that you get today's supermarkets is hyper-processed. And without going into all the details, the Bologna or mortadella that you properly get in Italy and can often find in the U.S. now is relatively clean, lean, and not hyper-processed with a lot of other additives in it.
Okay. I still stand by my point that American bologna is pretty much like mortadella, but I will give you this. It's pretty much like saying a Lamborghini and a Miata are sports cars. It is factually correct, but it sounds weird together, right? Because one is so much better than the other.
I'll take the Ferrari, Tom. Thank you.
The Lamborghini.
Thanks
for paying attention.
I'll take the Lamborghini.
Adam, you've had mortadella sandwiches in Italy, and you had some in Seattle. So let's do a little comparison, starting with the original. What is a mortadella sandwich like in Italy?
I actually found mortadella again recently on some recent trips to Rome that I took for a book project I was working on. A very good friend of mine, Giuseppe Leporace, brought me to this amazing place called Roscioli. And Roscioli, in their sandwiches, has literally the focaccia split in half, opened up, shaved mortadella, the good stuff, actually from Bologna, little bit of olive oil and salt, and that's it. Roscioli has perfected the essence of simple sandwich. And that's something that here in the United States, we don't do very well, mostly because we don't have the best ingredients.
I think you just described that's how most mortadella sandwiches are in Italy, from my experience. So you've also had a few in Seattle. And for listeners out there who can't see this, he's kind of cringing already. So I know he's going to say, so tell me, what is the mortadella sandwich like in Seattle that you've experienced?
We've done way better than I thought we would, honestly, Ton. I think we're taking strides towards the better sandwich here. My big problem with the mortadella sandwiches in Seattle these days, there's not enough mortadella. They tend to skimp on the good stuff, right? And they distract you from what is not maybe the best mortadella with all these other accoutrements. And for me, not having the simplicity of just great ingredients, maybe I'll pass.
Yeah. I think the word I would use is overworked. I think I've had I had about 12 mortadella sandwiches just in Seattle by itself. And most of them are overworked. They just can't stop. And I don't understand why. One of the things I find here, Adam, that's been trendy is honey, putting honey on a mortadella sandwich. Honey has become very trendy with pepperoni pizza. It is pretty freaking good on a pepperoni pizza. But on a mortadella, not so much.
Yeah, the honey cuts the spice on those pepperonis. But on the mortadella, it's kind of, you already have the texturality of the mortadella. You don't really need much else other than maybe some stracciatella cheese or a little bit of pistachio paste or something similar like that. But for the most part, the honey trend, keep it on your pepperoni.
What other ingredients do you not like in mortadella that you've seen around here?
Well, again, it's not about necessarily one ingredient. It's about the accumulation of too many things and or too much of a few things that compete with the mortadella. For example, in a great restaurant in Fremont called Tivoli, I had one of their mortadella sandwiches and the recommendation of some friends in that chat group. It was just overworked with not enough mortadella. Everything else in the restaurant looked wonderful. In fact, I'd like to go back and try it again, but way too much pistachio, way too much cheese, and I couldn't even finish the sandwich, and that's not normal.
Okay, we're going to debate about this later. I love the Tivoli sandwich, and we're going to talk about this. But first, like I said, I ate about a dozen mortadella sandwiches in Seattle. And although I do have some issues with some, many of them were decent to excellent, and I picked 3 that stood out. One of them is in front of us right now. And as I'm saying this, you've already taken a bite.
It was too good. It was too good to pass up, Ton.
Well, since you're eating, let me talk. The sandwich is from Nomadic Wine Dispensary on Capitol Hill. It's a wine bar, but you find some of the best sandwiches in the oddest of places. And it's not a focaccia like you would expect, Adam, but it's like a Tuscan-style flatbread, which is kind of, sort of related to a focaccia. It's thinner. It's crispier. It doesn't have that fluffiness of a focaccia. And inside this sandwich, we have a stracciatella. This is just a fancy way of saying fresh mozzarella and cream. Arugula, marinated in olive oil, a lot of salt and pepper, a lot of crushed pistachio. And, of course, slices and slices of mortadella. Should we take a bite? Or, in your case...
Another bite.
Another bite.
I got to say, Ton, I like this bread a lot. Those big salt chunks on it and the arugula actually lets the mortadella stand out.
Is this a blind taste test? I could tell this is a mortadella sandwich. And I can't say that about most mortadella sandwich in Seattle.
At all. You cannot find the mortadella in most mortadella sandwiches in Seattle.
We can't stop with 3 ingredients. And this is an exception where just a few stellar ingredients. The bread is made fresh
In-house.
daily. Yep. It's made fresh daily. Mortadella is pretty good. They didn't skimp on it. And I love that the cheese is sort of like an adhesive, and it just sticks to all the pistachio.
Yeah.
For that crunch.
The only thing that might do better with the bread is if it had that focaccia grease on it, where your fingers are dripping at the end of pressing into it.
Ooh, yeah. So what do you think about arugula on this sandwich?
I don't mind it in this case. I normally prefer no arugula. I think it's a distraction on the texturality of the mortadella and the blending of the focaccia with the mortadella and the stracciatella cheese. But in this case, I don't mind it. It actually is a light balance in between.
Yeah. And I think it's also high quality mortadella because I've had others in the city where you see like an inch pow high mortadella, but I can't taste it.
And if you're putting a full inch of mortadella on your sandwich, it's probably cheap.
Exactly. And what I love about this is there's more pistachio in the usual mortadella sandwich. It's sort of like an inverse of expectation because I don't expect the crunch in the middle of a sandwich, and that's why I get here, and I like that. Now we're going to really down the rabbit hole in this sandwich here. Let's go to the next sandwich on my top 3 list. Because the next one I want to talk about looks like it's overworked, but it's actually stellar. This sandwich is from Wilmott's Ghost. It's a Renee Erickson's restaurant in Denny Triangle, actually inside the Amazon Spheres. And I'll be honest, Adam, when I looked at this on the menu, I thought it was like a 5-car collision waiting to happen. There were like some really strong personalities. There were sourdough toast. It is one of the most sourdoughy bread I've had. It's very like tangy, really sharp flavor. There's a lemon aioli that's really acidic. You got provolone. You got briny olive tapenade. And I said, there's no way this is going to work. It's just going to be another overworked sandwich in Seattle. And it really hits the spot, shockingly. This is why we call it gourmet mortadella sandwich. It has so many layers and flavor. It's like a party in my mouth. I'm getting like a sourdough tang. I'm getting brininess. I'm getting salt. I'm getting like 3 slices of provolone, so it's very fatty, and it holds up well as a harmonious sandwich.
Never been there, but I look forward to trying it at some point soon. I can't imagine personally olive tapenade with the mortadella. To me, that is a clash of interests, but the aioli, the provolone, it kind of has this East Coast vibe to it, maybe.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds interesting.
This is why we should not judge a book by its cover, right? It is outstanding. And I think you will agree with me if you taste this sandwich.
Renee knows what she's doing.
Yeah, for sure. Go try this sandwich at Wilmott's Ghost, Adam. You can text me and tell me if you like it. But for now, it's time for us to have a little debate. Because the last sandwich on my list that I think is one of the best in the city is that mortadella sandwich at Tivoli. The one you can even finish eating. Tivoli is more, I would say, a pizza parlor, but they do sandwiches for lunch on the weekday. And what do you know? There's a mortadella sandwich. They make stellar bread. Focaccia specked with sesame seed. And then the secret sauce for theirs is a spread of pistachio, shallots, honey, thyme, chili flakes, and salt with whipped ricotta. And then you have, of course, slices of mortadella folded, pow high. And I see you grinning.
Glaring.
He's very angry that this is one of my top 3 picks. So you go first.
Oh, you're setting me up, Ton, huh? So the actual layering and construction of the sandwich that I got was overwhelmingly glazed with that mash of pistachio and honey and who knows what else he said.
He calls it his nut butter spread.
You can have the nut butter, Ton. I'll keep the mortadella. The ricotta, I think, is a great combination with the mortadella. But again, there was literally more ricotta than there were mortadella slices on the presentation that I got. So I'm going to have to go give it a try again. But for the most part, that sandwich didn't muster.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
You just talked, Ton.
and I should tell listeners out there, Adam was so mad when he ate this sandwich that he took a picture and sent it to me. That's how upset he was that he went all the way to Fremont to buy this sandwich because he heard not only from me, but from all his friends what a great mortadella sandwich this is.
If I have to leave Capitol Hill, Ton, something's wrong.
So I would say first you have friends with great taste because they all recommended this mortadella sandwich. I thought the focaccia bread was one of the best I had in the city. And it has that olive oil greasiness. Because if you look at my hand, it's all like, it's just glistening.
That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff you want.
Yes. Let me finish. You had your say. I have the
just wait, Ton. I'm coming back.
And mortadella, again, really good. Just a few slices, but it's high quality because you can taste the mortadella. I would give you this. You did show me the picture of your sandwich that you were very upset about. And I will say there were more that nut butter sauce, which consists of, again, pistachio, shallots, honey, thyme, chili flakes. The picture you showed me did have more than what I've seen. But still, I think it holds up well. It works really well with the sesame seed. And I can still taste the mortadella. And the reason why this was my pick for one of the top 3 sandwiches, interesting flavors, not something that you can make at home.
The sandwich that I was given, it's like they pulled it right out of the refrigerator and handed it to me. And that luscious, glistening olive oil focaccia was cold. And not only was it cold, it was also a little stale. And I wouldn't expect that from a place that specializes in making pizzas or making focaccia.
Wow. See, I didn't know this.
And that's why I would like to go back.
Yeah. I've had it twice. It was consistent. It was not cold or stale bread. Well, you got the leftover. Those should have been croutons in a salad.
I need to go with you next time, Ton.
Since there's a lot of mortadella sandwich that we don't like, you don't like, and I don't like, how would you make one at home? What does yours look like, Adam?
I would absolutely go get the best fresh focaccia I could find in the city. And that's kind of key ingredient. And then I would probably go to Rain Shadow and get their mortadella.
I think that is one of the best mortadellas that's in the Northwest.
And have them slice it extra thin. That for me is key. And the only thing I would do is add a little salt and drizzle a little bit of olive oil on it. And if my son were requesting more cheese because he likes protein, well, I'd add some of the mozzarella, fresh mozzarella you can find around town or something like that.
Ooh.
The only other thing I might consider, and I cheated, Ton. I looked online at the Mortadella Lab in Bologna, and the Mortadella Lab makes these amazing, exclusively mortadella sandwiches, and let's just say they had some pretty good ideas that way you could easily do at home.
Oh, can I tell you my mortadella sandwich?
I'd love to hear, Ton.
I was hungry one night, and I digged through all the takeouts, and I forgot I had a mortadella roll in the back of my fridge. Well, it must have been sitting there for months, because when I unwrapped the plastic wrap, it got kind of a little moldy. What'd you think I'd do?
I bet you just cut that off or just rinsed it off even.
Yeah, that's what I did. I took a knife, I started shaving all the mold, the green, the whitey, slimy stuff, and I just fried some slices.
There you go.
On a banh mi, and I put French butter. It has to be French butter because it has a higher fat percentages. And it is delicious. It is sort of like a French ham sandwich meets southern fried bologna sandwich. It would make my list of best sandwich in the city. And as I'm saying this, I realize I should do a public service announcement since I'm encouraging people to eat moldy meat. Do not follow this advice. I'm just saying that's what I did.
Go get fresh.
There you go. Because even if you cut off the moldy part, it does not mean that the rest.
But you're frying it. You're killing just about everything in there. So you're alive. You're here today.
Okay. You're going to kill some of the NPR donors, Adam. And I feel bad because I did get an email from a food health inspector who is a fan of the show. And he's probably livid right now. When I go home, there's going to be a sign post my door. One of those like restaurant inspection sign with a frowny face saying not accepted or unsatisfactory.
Your kitchen is not food quality rated. No serving the public.
Adam, now we have to go to Tivoli again and continue this debate off the air. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
That's it for today. We have a list of all the sandwiches we talked about in the description of this episode. Thanks for listening to Seattle Eats. The show is a production of the Seattle Times and KUOW, part of the NPR network. You can support Seattle Eats by investing in the local newsroom and the specialized beats that make this sort of storytelling possible. Please consider joining and subscribing at KUOW.org/eats and SeattleTimes.com. Seattle Eats is produced by Claire McGrain and Brandy Fullwood and edited by Jim Gates and Trevor Lensmeyer. I'm Ton Venn. See you next week.